All right, all right. I am live. I am live. What I do all the time, folks, is I don't immediately just sit here staring at the screen. I start talking, even if I'm talking to myself, for those of you that are listening to this after the fact. Now, I got two eyeballs in here right now. I'm going to wait a little bit for a few more people to come in here. Now, for those of you that are familiar, you know how this goes. Once some people get in here a little bit, then we're going to actually start the podcast. When I hit the record button right here, that's going to be the part, the recording that is going to be the actual podcast that is everywhere. This podcast goes out on Spotify. It goes out on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. This thing goes everywhere. Okay, I'm on Amazon. Oh, shucks, I'm even on Alexa. So once we get a few more people in here, we'll start the recording. Then I can introduce my guest. I'm so excited. This very professional woman, and I'm sure you guys will be delighted once you hear about her and we have a conversation with her. All right, we got one thumbs up already. We got 4 folks in here. Well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to record, and I'm about to start this show. I'm hitting record right now. Bye, y'all. And here comes the intro. Stay tuned. I want to welcome you guys to R-BoP. This is Riddick's Book of Philosophy. My name's Philip Riddick, and this is where I talk about what I want to talk about the way I want to talk about it. If you enjoy this podcast, tell your friends, family, and loved ones to come in and enjoy my whimsical way of saying things, doing things, and thinking about things.
Please hold for a very important message.
Hey everybody, sooner or later you're going to have to travel. You're going to have to take a plane, a hotel, or rent a car or something, either because you want to go on a vacation, something that you were waiting for or really wanted to do, or sometimes we have some unfortunate circumstances in our families where we have to travel involuntarily. Either way or the other, if you need to travel, you want to save some money. I am an independent TSA, Travel Savings Ambassador for iBoomerang. And I can save you 30 to 70% on your travel if you send me your first and last name to the following email address, dcboomgetaways@gmail.com. Once again, dcboom, B-U-U-M, getaways@gmail.com. I can send you an absolutely free website, yours personally, that you can use whenever you want, and it will save you money. It can save your money whenever you are going away. You might be going away now. You might be going away in the future. This website is yours forever. So once again, if you want to save money traveling 30 to 70%, shoot your first and last name to me at dcboom, B-U-U-M, getaways@gmail.com. All right, guys. Put your hands together. My name's Phil. I'm the hostess. I'm the hostess with the mostest, guys, and I'm glad you guys are here with me. All right, guys. First of all, this is Black History Month. We're coming up on the tail end of that. And I wanted to talk to a very professional African-American woman. And you will be amazed at how professional and also talented. We'll get to that here shortly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, hey, TNT and Cynthia from Chicago, Lamar, what's going on? Jermail, what's going on, brother? Lep, everybody in the chat, how you guys doing? But I want to read the bio real quick of this very prestigious person. Okay. This is Judge Gay Polk Payton. All right. She was admitted into the practice of law in the state of Mississippi in September 1996. After completing a bachelor's degree in business administration at the University of Southern Mississippi, USM. A master's in business administration at the University of New Orleans, and a Juris Doctor at the University of Mississippi Ole Miss School of Law. Gay is a former commissioner for the 12th Judicial District and current Resolutions Committee member with the Mississippi Bar Association and a member of the Magnolia the Magnolia and American Bar Association, a member of the Trial Lawyers Association, the Mississippi Justice Court Judge Association, the Hattiesburg Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, a Hall of Fame member with the University of Mississippi's Black Law Students Association, a member of the Council on Legal Education Opportunities Judge Hall of Fame, a VIP Hall of Fame member and past president of the New Orleans chapter of the International Association of Women, and a member and past president of the South Central Mississippi Bar Association. She is currently employed with the Forest County Justice Court, where she has served as an elected judge since 2012. And she is a municipal court judge pro tempore. Is that tempore or tempore? I hope I didn't mispronounce that. For the city of Hattiesburg. She is the owner of Polk Payton Law Offices, as well as a former adjunct faculty member with USM, Human Performance and Recreation Department. Human Performance and Recreation Department, and former assistant dean for student affairs with the University of Mississippi School of Law. She is licensed to practice law in all courts in the state of Mississippi, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the United States Supreme Court. How about that? With that, she still believes in she's being used by God in all things that she does. Y'all put y'all hands together for this very talented woman. Judge Gay Polk Payton, how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing wonderfully. How are you doing?
I hope I didn't butcher your bio. How did that come out? Did it come out okay?
No, you did pretty good. I get bored listening to my bio. I get sick of me when I start listening to my bio.
And there's so many other things that you do, but we'll get to that coming up here pretty quick. Let me move this bio out of the way so we can start some of these questions. All right. I wanted you here just because of, one, like I said, Black History Month, and I wanted someone that was very, very successful to bring on to this show. You being a very attractive Black woman, as well as I don't really know what a judge does. So we want to talk about that other than judging, but the intricacies. So the bio's been read.
Right.
Who is Gay Polk Payton? Who are you? Where are you from? What's your background?
Okay. Well, I was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. This is my hometown. And I graduated from Hattiesburg High School. And I love Hattiesburg. I'm not married to it as much as I used to be because my parents are deceased now. My son lives in Georgia now, so I'm not as married to Hattiesburg as I used to be. But this is home. And I was born and raised here. And I went to undergrad here at the University of Southern Mississippi. And then, of course, as you heard in my bio, I went to New Orleans and went to grad school and then went to the University of Mississippi up at Ole Miss in North Mississippi. And that's where I got my law degree. And then I came back home and started practicing law here.
Nice. Leprechaun TV in the chat says, "Don't judge me." That's funny. That's funny. All right. Family. Spouse, kids, pets, dogs, cats. What you got?
Well, I have one son. His name is Gabriel. Jacoby Payton. He goes by Gabriel now. When he was little, we called him Kobe because it was easier for him to say.
Right.
And now when he went to college, I walked on campus, all girls would say Gabriel. I'm like, who are they talking to? And so, of course, when he got to college, he became Gabriel. And so I just have to go with the flow, but I still call him Kobe. The only time I call him Gabriel is when I'm angry.
Gabriel sounds. Gabriel sounds better with the ladies.
Yeah, I guess so. Whatever. And so I did. His middle name did come from Kobe Payton because in French, Jacoby means I Kobe, and I did name him after Kobe Bryant. I was devastated when Kobe passed away. God rest him, and his daughter Gigi. And but I do not have a spouse. I had some pets, and they are no longer with me. They're not dead. It's a long story that I do not want to tell on this radio show. It would take up too much time, and it's too traumatizing for me. I don't like telling that story. It's just traumatizing for me about my pets. But I had two dogs. Their names were Huey and Justice. I named my male dog Huey. His name was Huey Wayne Payton. And Huey was named after Huey P. Newton, the Black Panther. And
there you go.
Justice, of course, was named after Justice. Her name was Justice Tiffany Payton, and her middle name was after my mother, who was named Fanny. So Justice Tiffany. So those were my two dogs, and they were with me until like 6 months ago. And I love my dogs. They're still alive. I just had to rehome them.
We'll talk about that offline. Okay, so now we know you're a judge. So, I'm gonna skip that question. We're like, what do you do for a living? Blah blah blah. We'll get into some of the intricacies. So I'm gonna skip that question.
Okay.
So we're gonna take this opportunity for you to shine. All right. Your social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You write any books? You do anything? Just take as much time as you want to put yourself out there.
Okay. Well, on Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Judge Cutie. That is my Instagram and Twitter name. And on any other social media platforms, most of those like LinkedIn, Facebook, you can find me under Gay Polk Payton, my regular name. I do have fan pages on Facebook. I have Gay's PSA, which was based on my book, which is called This Has Been a Public Service Announcement, and my radio show, Gay's PSA. And I have a fan page that has my music, which is Gay Polk Payton, and that's my music fan page. I have Committee to Elect Gay Polk Payton because I am an elected official. One of my judge positions is an elected position, the one that I've held since 2012. Since 2012, that's my elected position. And my municipal court job is appointed. I'm appointed by the mayor for that position. And so I have that committee page, and once I transition, which I plan to run for circuit judge next year, that's a higher court, and I plan to run for circuit judge next year, and so that committee page will probably transform into my circuit court judge page. So those are the pages that I keep, and then I have a YouTube page, and so if you go to my YouTube page, you can find all kinds of things on my YouTube page. You may see a video of me singing the national anthem. You may see a video of me singing a love song. You may see me singing gospel music, or you may see me doing a PSA from my book. This is what the book cover looks like. It's called This Has Been a Public Service Announcement. The reason I called it that by that name is because public service announcements are information that are disseminated for the greater good of society. And it's kind of like, it's not telling you what to do. It's telling you what not to do. It's kind of like when your mama say, baby, don't do that. You're going to break your neck. That kind of thing, and it is divided into 6 categories: general, relationships, for men, for women, single parenting, fitness, and religion. And I talk about these things based on a concept that I learned in law school, and that concept was called res ipsa loquitur. And that means the thing speaks for itself. And in my hood and yours, it meant it is what it is. Okay, straight no chaser. That's what it is. It is what it is. And so I talk about those things, and I just give a little advice and tell people how to avoid different pitfalls in their lives. This book on Barnes and Nobles will cost you about $15, but it'll save you about $15,000 in attorney's fees. How do I know? Because I'm a lawyer. Okay. And that's how much I charge to get you out of some of the mess that you can get into if you don't listen to some of this advice that I give you in this book.
There you go. Now,
also, I have recorded music. That's what my music page is for. I have some recorded music, and 2 of my songs, Real Man and God Gives Me, have been on soundtrack of the movie Blackbird, starring Isaiah Washington and Monique, the comedian Monique Hicks. And so I was very proud of that. Very proud of that.
I had it. I'm trying to find it. Can we listen to it?
Sure.
All right, all right, guys, this is I guess this is an exclusive. This is an exclusive. I'm going to share this right now, folks, and we're going to listen to Gay's share screen. I'm going to do that. I'm going to share audio. We're going to listen to your song. This is Real Men. Here we go.
Just one. Real Man.
Real Man. All right. Tell me what y'all think in the chat. Leprechaun TV says, can you sing to me? Yes, she can right now. Oh, shucks.
And he always follows through. He knows how to make me feel special, like I'm the only one.
All right, now, how much you want me to play of this? All of it or what? How much you want me to let them hear?
It is your show.
It's my show. We're going to listen to a little bit more. What y'all got, chat? Tell me something. Oh yeah. All right, that's all y'all get, folks.
Brown folks music.
It is. That's all y'all get, folks. I'm gonna stop sharing that. That's wonderful, girl.
Thank you.
I knew you could sing. You've been singing for years.
Yeah, and you can get that music on Spotify, on any music platform. You can get it on Amazon. Actually, you can download it, or you can order a CD with the music on it. So.
Nice. Send me that stuff. I can put it in the show notes, guys. I already have her social medias in the show notes. If you're on the R-BoP on Facebook, it's on the title. And if you're R-BoP on YouTube, it's going to be in the description box below. All right, guys. So you can get her social media there. But what they say, Jermel Thomas, he says, that sounds good. Bobby Cadden's got it, thumbs up.
Thank you.
Lamar Wallace, he said, you sing it, sis. Need a real man? Holla at me. He said, holla at Jermel. Sorry about that. Lovely voice. See, you look, you've just brought in all my, y'all put y'all hands together.
Thank y'all.
That is wonderful. That's
humbled.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Now, I also have in here, let me make sure I set this up right so I don't screw this up. Where is, hold on, work with me.
Uh-oh.
No, just trying to do a surprise for somebody, if I can find it, and I can't. Terrible luck. Anyway, I had a little, a little zinger to go out for the IOW network. All right, I Often Wonder network. Friends of mine, matter of fact, Jermel's in here. Jermel Thomas, he is the, and Lamar Wallace is also associate. I'm an associate of the I Often Wonder network. All right, this guy has his own podcast, IOW podcast. He has IOW Sports. I just want to give him a shout out for those guys. And they have also embraced me. So the R-BoP podcast is also part of the IOW network. I just wanted to say that. All right, let's get into some of these questions real quick, fast. Hold on, I got things working over here that's crazy. I'm going to close that right there. And we can move right along. Pow and pow. That stuff on the left side distracted me. All right, Black History Month, a black female judge. What is an average day for a judge? What does a judge do other than sit behind the bench and send people to jail?
Oh.
What's an average day for a judge? What does a judge do?
Well, you know, I have kids to job shadow me all the time, and college students and law students to come and job shadow me all the time. And I can call them kids because I'm 52, so I can call them children.
Girl,
even if they're in law school.
You look 35. Stop it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know my son will be 23 next week, and everybody thinks I'm his girlfriend. He's like, no, that's my mama. So he gets aggravated. And he told me when he was in high school, he was like, Mama, I don't like the way my friends look at you. I said, I don't like the way my friends look at you either. So we're even. Get over it. But the kids who job shadow me, you know, they're like, you know, I thought that all judges do is sit behind the bench and make decisions. But I mean, they have to run around behind me. When they're shadowing me, they have to go where I go. And when I'm on the city court bench and the justice court bench in the same day, sometimes I have to run back and forth between both courthouses. So right. Friday morning, for instance, I started Friday morning doing probable cause hearings and protection orders over at city court. When I got through doing that, I had to go over to justice court and perform wedding ceremonies. The week before Valentine's Day, I married 12 couples. People just want to get married on love weekend. So I always during that time. And, you know, and it's like if one of the members of the couple or somebody in the couple's family, if they know me and they know that I can sing, they'll ask me, can you sing my prayer instead of saying my prayer? So I will sing the Lord's Prayer for them right there in the courtroom instead of saying their prayer during their wedding ceremony. So, and I don't mind doing it. I'm a public servant. You know, I'm full service judge. If they need me to hold a baby during the ceremony, I'll do that too. It doesn't matter to me, whatever I need to do. So
Nice.
so then I have to do first appearances. So I had to go and do first appearances for justice court, and then I had to go back and do first appearances for city court.
Now,
So
first appearances are
that is when someone has been arrested, either for a misdemeanor or a felony, and they come in for their first appearance before the judge after that arrest. Everybody has a first appearance within 48 hours of being arrested. If it's a misdemeanor case, they can plead guilty or not guilty to that charge right there in front of me. And if they plead guilty, then I can go ahead and sentence them at that time. Or they can plead
jail.
or I can accept their not guilty plea, set them a bond, and set their matter for trial. If they are arrested on a felony charge, then at that time I will set a bond for them and explain to them their rights and let them know what they have to do to prepare themselves to get ready for their criminal case.
Okay, question. When it comes to setting a bail, what's the leeway? Is it like I can give them what I want? No. Or how does that work? If I go to court and I know my butt's on the line, what's the rules that's going to get me?
Well, we have guidelines. Like the only time that you can really deny someone bail is when it's a capital offense. And capital offenses are things like it's capital murder, or that's the main capital offenses, or rape or armed robbery. You can deny bail on cases like that. Those are capital cases. But on other cases, you have to give someone a reasonable bond, and you base bail on the person's background, because you want to look at the background, because if they have 2 or more felonies in the state of Mississippi, if neither one of them is a crime of violence, they can face the maximum penalty on that third felony day for day, mandatory time. And if one of their prior felonies is a crime of violence, they can face life without parole. So that is, that gives them an incentive to flee. So you have to take that into consideration when you're setting the bond, and make sure, because bond is not meant to penalize someone for the crime that they're accused of. Bond is meant to ensure their appearance for their day at trial.
Right, they'll get the bond back if they show
well,
up.
sometimes it depends on whether or not they do a cash bond or if they do a written bond. If they have a bail bondsman who does a written bond for them, they don't ever get their money back. That's their bail bondsman's money that goes in his pocket forever and ever, amen. But if they do a written bond, they can do a cash bond instead, and they would pay, like if I set their bond at $5,000, they could pay $5,000 to the circuit clerk. And if they're found not guilty, or if I dismiss their case pending grand jury, they will get that money back.
Wow.
So it just depends. Yeah.
The things you don't know. Ted Greer in the chat says, I'm considering getting married. Should I get a prenuptial agreement? I'm not a judge, but I say, yeah.
Well, I mean, and this is something that people do not consider when they think about getting married. It takes me from 5 to 7 minutes from dearly beloved to by the power vested in me.
Wow.
But if one person doesn't want out of that relationship, it can take you years to get out of that relationship. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, I would recommend a prenuptial agreement. I would recommend it in any circumstance. I mean, especially if you're young, and unless neither one of you have anything you're building together. If you're building together, then but if you already got some stuff when you get married, then I would recommend a prenuptial agreement. In some states, you may have to give up some stuff anyway, but I would always recommend that if you already have your own stuff when you get married.
So you said it takes 5 minutes from dearly beloved to half Eddie.
To by the power vested in me. Exactly. That's how long it takes.
That is funny.
It's real talk.
All right, next question. What major obstacle did you have to overcome? It can be funny, interesting story.
Wow.
Major obstacle to overcome in your whole legal journey from the time you started till now. What's the major thing that you had to overcome?
Oh, there's been a lot. It's like
sure.
A lot of times people, they see my glory, but they don't know my story. And it's like they want to put me on a pedestal, and they'll say, if I had your hand, I'd turn my hand, but you don't know what's in my hand. So you can't want my hand because you don't know what's in it. So, I mean, like 3 weeks before I graduated from law school, my father died. And then my mother died 17 months later when I was 2 months pregnant with my son. And then 13 years later, my son was diagnosed with cancer, and he had a soft tissue sarcoma. So I was sworn in as a judge on January 3rd, and my baby started chemo on January 23rd.
Wow.
So it's just like I had just, realized my dream of becoming a judge. But then the most important person in my life, the greatest gift that God had ever given me, was facing mortality, with cancer. And so my baby had to go through 4 surgeries, 31 radiation treatments, and 7 rounds of chemo, 3 weeks after I had become a judge. So, it's just like that was my biggest obstacle because he was the most important thing in the world to me. He still is the most important thing in the world to me. And so I just, I had to overcome that, and I had to walk through that journey and continue to do what I had to do to keep my head above water, to keep a roof over our heads, and to make sure, my son, he's always been very cognizant of that. When I was getting ready I used to be a public defender, and when I was preparing for a trial, my son would go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and he was like, "Mama, you still working?" I said, "Yes, baby, I'm still working." And he'll say, "Mama, thank you so much for working so hard to take care of us." And he was cognizant of the fact that I was, working hard and working my fingers to the bone to make sure that we had what we needed.
I like what you said. They see your glory, but they don't know your story.
Amen.
That's wow. I'm not gonna say it's crazy because it's
it's
life.
It's real. It is real. And people like when we went to we went to see the Steelers out at Heinz Field, and people were like, "Oh my God, I'm so jealous. You all booed up with Mike Tomlin." And I'm like, "Look, I would rather see Mike Tomlin on TV than to see my son go through what he had to do for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to fly us out to Pittsburgh." Yeah. So don't want what people have unless you're willing to go through what they went through to get it. You see this woman riding around in the Range Rover, the cream color Range Rover all day. You don't know her husband might be dotting her eye every night when she gets to the house. You don't know what she's going through to drive that car. You don't know what people are going through. So don't want what people have unless you know what they're going through.
I hope he ain't dotting her eye, because then he had to stand in front of you.
Oh, you would be surprised. You would be surprised. The people you least expect would have domestic situations going on. Yeah. It doesn't startle me anymore. I'm very rarely shocked by anything, and I make it incumbent upon myself to never judge people. I don't put people up on pedestals. I don't judge people up or down because I don't know what's going on in their lives. So when I sit on that bench, I make sure that I make a promise to myself and to God that I will judge the facts and the circumstances as they relate to the laws of the state of Mississippi. I do not judge people because I don't know what happened to them to put them in the situation that they're standing in front of that bench.
See, now that brings me up a different question. Well, real quick to the chat. Hey, Kent, Daddy Dutch Barbecue, how you doing? Who else? Mona, how you doing? Just want to shout out Ted Greer. Just want to shout out some of the people in the chat. Okay. Here's a question. It's not even one I sent you. Just came to me. What's the craziest, not most dangerous, not, highest crime. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you in court?
In my court, or just in my legal career? In your legal career,
in the courtroom, either or a judge, and some person's there that, what's the craziest thing that's happened in the courtroom?
Because come September, I will have been practicing law for 25 years, and I've been a judge for 9. So it's been some crazy stuff that has happened. I had a case back in early 2000s where one of my public defender clients, they cut up a body and they killed 2 people and cut up one of the bodies and put the bodies in a deep freezer, put them on the back of a pickup truck and drove to Kansas. And they were going to bury the body all over his grandfather's farm. And, what made it really insane was the fact that it was in Russell County, Kansas, which was the site of In Cold Blood, the movie that Robert Blake did. You remember that movie with Robert Blake, the movie that Capote based it was just Truman Capote's book, right? So, what they did was once they got there, they went and plugged in the freezer so the freezer would not smell. And then these geniuses decided that they were going to go and make some meth so that they could get to sell it and go to Mexico. So they went to the store. Back then, you didn't have to have a prescription or a driver's license or anything to get Sudafed to make methamphetamines. You could just buy a bunch of it, but they bought too much of it. And when they bought too much of it, it put them on a narc radar. And so the narcs followed them out to that farm and then went back and got a warrant to search that farm. And when they went and opened that freezer, they thought they were going to see a meth lab, and they found 2 dead bodies.
People pieces.
Child.
That's crazy.
And
That's
so
crazy.
when the Kansas Bureau of Investigation came to Mississippi, they asked me a question. One of the guys asked me a question.
Yeah.
And he said, Gay, how do you represent people like her? And I
Yeah.
said, people like who? He said, Lisa Joe, you know how they killed those people. I said, let me tell you something. I said, you are a big, I said, I admit that 99% of my clients or 90% of my clients as a public defender, they're guilty. I said, but if the Constitution doesn't work for the 90% that are guilty, it's not going to work for the 10% that aren't.
That's
I said,
true.
now you, sir, this is what I told him. I said, you are a big flirt. I said, you've been flirting with every woman in this courtroom, including me. I said, now, if we all go out and hang out tonight, and then one of us comes back tomorrow and tells the district attorney that you touched us in a sexually inappropriate way, but for people like me representing people like her and keeping the Constitution honest, you will go straight to jail without the benefit of trial. I said, so you would hope that I would represent people like her. I said, because that means that they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did what we said you did.
There you go.
So, you have to keep the Constitution honest at all times. And that's why everybody...
And keep their doggone hands to themselves, them defenders.
Exactly. And I mean, it's real because every citizen is entitled to the assistance of an attorney in all stages of the proceeding. So I didn't have a problem representing her because she was a citizen of the United States. I was a public defender. I don't get to choose my cases, but she was a human being. So she got, even though she did some heinous things, she was still a human being. Yeah. And I don't get to choose that. I don't get to decide that. So
nice. That's a resolve, because I couldn't be a public defender because I'd be biased. I know you killed them people.
You know you killed.
I ain't gonna try that hard.
I actually had a case, and my client, that lady that I told you about, they were found guilty, of course, because the evidence was just overwhelming. But I had a case where my client, he actually stabbed his brother-in-law 6 times, and I walked him.
Okay.
Not guilty verdict.
Wow.
I was able to show self-defense, and it was, it was a very interesting case because 3 weeks before the trial, the medical examiner was busted with marijuana.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, I figured like this. Me being a healthy man with pretty good size on me, if you get stabbed 6 times, I think you want to get stabbed. You can't stop somebody from stabbing. Come on. I mean, that's terrible. I shouldn't say that to a judge.
It is what it is.
Hey, that was a joke, Judge. All right. Here's a question. Have you ever had to deal with outsiders, naysayers, people that, no matter, haters, folks hating
every
on
single
you?
Day.
Really?
Every single day. Yes.
Now,
every single day.
Hating because of your judge position, or just because you're cute, or because you a black lady, or
all of the above.
Multiple? Really?
All of the above. Yes.
Wow. You want to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, but it doesn't bother me anymore. It's like people are racist, but it doesn't bother me. I don't feed ignorance.
Right.
I feed positivity. I don't feed ignorance. I am just, oh my God, I am certified at ignoring, excuse me on your radio show, ignoring the hell out of people.
Oh, girl, this is my show. You can say whatever the hell you want.
I can ignore people. It's like people will try to bother you with foolishness. People will tote, because if somebody will bring a bone, they'll tote one back. I am just certified at ignoring that. I do not feed that kind of ignorance. And, it's just like, that's how I used to be a big girl. Well, I'm still thick with it, but I used to be bigger than this. I used to be a real big girl.
Y'all put your hands together for thick women. We love them. I just had to say that. Okay, Black and Black History Month.
But when I lost weight, the way I lost weight is I fed my muscle and I starved my fat.
Okay.
And I use that as a life principle. I do not feed negativity. I don't feed foolishness. So if you coming at me with some foolishness, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to treat you like you don't exist. And I'm not going to pay attention to it. So naysayers have no place. My auntie was a naysayer. I mean, she was just there's one in every family.
Of course.
And so when I passed the bar exam, my mother was just losing it. And so my auntie said, you need to calm down. You're going to have a heart attack. My mother told her, if I die today, my baby is a lawyer and I'm going to die happy. So it's just like that, So it's just like, you done can't pay attention to that. My haters made me famous. It's just like that Judge Cutie drama that took me to the Mississippi Supreme Court.
We gonna get to that. We gonna get to that.
They made me. I was all in Breitbart in London. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. I like that though. What you say? Feed the muscle, starve the fat. I like that. That's right. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a short break, and then we're going to come in. And we're going to ask you who is that person. Don't say it again though.
Okay.
But we're going to take a short break, guys, and y'all put up with my shenanigans, and I'll be right back. I would like to talk to you about Instacart. What if I told you that you could have local fresh groceries delivered to your front door? You can have multiple deliveries for one small monthly fee. Unlike some other apps or services that want to nickel and dime you all the time. If you don't have that special item that you need to make a special recipe, Instacart in some cases can get that to your house in as fast as 1 hour. Hand-selected by shoppers based on your preferences, Instacart highlights deals that can help save you money. You can find everything you normally buy, and they also suggest things that may be new to you. They pick the freshest produce and also keep your eggs safe too. Follow the link in the show notes that lets Instacart know that I sent you. That will not only help the show, but it will also, in this case, give you free delivery on your first order over $35. Instacart. Never go out to go grocery shopping again. All right, we're back. It ain't like we really went nowhere. We were here. Y'all that can see us saw us. Those that are listening.
They was watching me drink out my cup.
I know, right? Those listening, it sounded like a commercial, and I hope it was very professional. Anyway, who is Judge Cutie?
Me?
I know, but where did she come from? Give me the story.
Okay, so when Kobe was going through chemo, I had just become a judge. And he said, Mama, I'm sick of people calling you Judge Judy. They need to call you what you are, Judge Cutie. I said, oh, baby, that's so sweet. He said, make that your Instagram name. My baby was going through chemo. He could have told me to call myself Howdy Doody, and I would have done it. And, you know what I'm saying? So I changed my Instagram, my Twitter name to Judge Cutie. So one of my haters sent an anonymous complaint to the Judicial Commission and said that I was selling my books and my music on my Instagram and my Twitter. And because of that, I was lending the prestige of the robe to promote my private interests.
Terrible.
Just terrible. Yeah. Okay, now mind you, when I won the general election, I had 2 opponents, and I won with 75% of the vote. I don't need the robe to lend me nothing.
Wait. Put your hands together for 75% of the vote. We ain't playing. All right.
So anyway, my lawyer and I, we just got tired of dealing with it because we kept going back and forth. And so I told my lawyer that I would take a private reprimand letter, just a private reprimand, just to get rid of it, just to get it over with. And so they said, no, we want a public reprimand, which is where somebody comes in my courtroom and they just come in there and read a letter saying that I did something wrong, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't know, I guess they didn't do their research, and they didn't realize that in order to publicly reprimand a judge, you have to get permission of the Mississippi Supreme Court. Okay. And so we went before the Mississippi Supreme Court, and they were requesting a public reprimand of me before the Mississippi Supreme Court, and they heard oral arguments. I had 4 lawyers. I had a dream team. I had a guy flew over from UCLA. He was a law professor over at UCLA. He flew over on his own dime to fly over to talk about the First Amendment and my right to say and call myself whatever I want to. Okay. And then I had somebody from the ACLU to come over, and he wrote an amicus brief, and he came to argue his amicus brief about, my rights being violated. And then my lawyers were talking about it. And then the Supreme Court justices themselves had very valid questions about, why are you bringing an anonymous complaint before the Mississippi Supreme Court? How am I supposed to determine the weight and credibility of the witness against her if you're not telling me who this witness is? Okay. So long story short, they heard oral arguments on Tuesday. They rendered the decision on Wednesday, and they dismissed it and published the dismissal order on Thursday.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
and they dismissed it with prejudice. So you can look at the oral argument on, if you go to the Mississippi Supreme Court website. It was in 2017. You can go to the website and see Mississippi Judicial Commission versus Gay Polk Payton.
See, y'all hear that? Y'all look that up, and you can see how they can throw that out because she ain't do nothing wrong. There it is.
Right. And people were watching it live, and they were texting me. They were like, "You didn't even flinch." I said, "Because I didn't do anything."
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you don't have to shuffle in your seat and pass notes to your lawyer. I sat on what I knew, and that was that I didn't do anything wrong.
That's nice. Now, and on top of that, it brought attention to it and made Judge Cutie bigger,
didn't it? It did. I mean, it was in London. It was in the Washington Post, the Miami Herald. It was all over. And when I saw it in Breitbart, I almost passed out. I was like, they're talking about this in London. Yeah. Really? Like, y'all crazy. This is a mess. This is a mess.
Hey, what that reminds me of is someone trying to shut you down. Remember NWA?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right.
That album, it was just a run-of-the-mill album until the government decided they wanted to. It's too profane and it's cussing against the police, and it blew up. That's what put them on the map.
Exactly. Sometimes they fed it.
Yeah,
they fed it.
That's right. What put them on the map.
I told my son, I said, which wolf? If you put a bad wolf against a good wolf, I said, which wolf is gonna win the fight? He said, well, I hope the good wolf win. I said, whichever wolf you feed. That's the one that's going to win. Whichever one you feed.
The strong wolf's going to win.
The strong wolf is going to win.
The strong wolf is going to win.
Exactly.
All right. Here's a good one. Have you ever done or said something out of anger or out of character in the courtroom, and then you had to explain it away or try to weasel out of it?
No.
You've never made it crazy, said something? Really?
I don't.
You got so much discipline.
Oh yeah, I'm cool.
I'd slip and cuss. Well, we're blah 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 blah. I'll be like, Your Honor, they're full of shit.
Okay. No, actually, I haven't. Now, I've wanted to. Like, as a lawyer, I've wanted to. I think I've come borderline to being held in contempt. But as a judge, it's like, one of the things that keeps me humble as a judge, and as I've talked to other judges, I've spoken, as a speaker to other judges, and I've told them that one of the things that keeps me humble is that I understand that the power vested in me by the state of Mississippi means nothing unless God vests me with the power to take my next breath. So I remember that. So that keeps me humble. And then it's like, I know that when I sit there, there but for the grace of God goes me, or my child, or someone I love. So I put myself in a position of empathy. I temper justice with compassion. When I'm dealing with my fellow man who is standing in front of me, I'm not going to sit in judgment of that person. I just got to figure out whether or not the facts and circumstances show that they violated the laws of the state of Mississippi.
So it's not personal.
It ain't personal, it's just business.
I couldn't be a judge. I'd be like, I don't like the way they look. They shouldn't have wore those shoes. They going to jail.
I had a client, I told her to dress like she was going to church. Apparently, she had never been to church before because she came to court with some Get a Girl shorts on with a panther tattoo on her thigh.
Wow.
I was like, she never been to church before because she didn't know what to wear.
I was like, she wearing Daisy Duke. She getting 5 years. You can't be playing with me. I couldn't be a judge. I'm too petty. I'm too petty. Yo, what up, Judge? I be like, I got 3 years, buddy.
Right. I have to elbow them in their side, like when I'm representing somebody because, they'll say, yeah, and now I'm like, no, yes, sir. No, sir. Listen, it's not showing. You ain't got to respect that man sitting there. You're showing deference to the bench. You're showing deference for, that position, and it's just like, that's what my parents taught me, to show deference to people in a position of authority. It's like older people, I say yes ma'am to older people, and it's just like, I do that, and I feel funny when older people say yes ma'am to me, but it's just the way people were raised and conditioned.
See, I know exactly what you're saying because when I was in the military, there are a lot of times you have a superior officer or a higher non-commissioned officer, just a turd. I mean, someone you can't stand, but you have to respect the rank or respect the position. Even if you don't respect the person, you have to respect the rank. So
you have to respect the rank.
That's in me. I'm still petty though. I couldn't be a judge. I'd be putting people away.
Petty.
That's right.
My son calls me Petty LaBelle all the
time. Okay, here's what. What drives you? What pushes you? What makes Judge Cutie? Philosophies, ideologies? What? pushes you?
Well, I mean, I draw my strength from God and I draw my energy from the people who need me. I know that I'm needed on the bench. I know that's where I belong, because, there are so many people like, you should run for mayor, you should run for Senate. Like, no, I'm needed on the bench. I'm needed to help interpret these laws and to help people get fair sentences and get their fair shake inside of a courtroom,
Nice.
And secondly, I don't have the temperament for political office. If I was mayor, then, the news every night would say, man, Mayor Polk Payton cussed everybody out of the city council today. Everybody got cussed out, including the constituent, everybody got cussed out. So I don't have the temperament for that. And my decisions cannot be driven by what people want me to do. My decisions will be driven by the law.
Look, I could be a politician. I could misuse money. I could go to Cancun when my state's freezing. I could do that.
Right, you could be Ted Cruz. You could do that.
See, I wasn't gonna call no name.
You weren't gonna call no name, but I called it. I called it. You call it spade a spade. It is what it is.
Now, what advice would you give a young black woman or a woman? But this is Black History Month. Especially being let me back up a little bit. You being a black woman in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? MISS, what is it? Crooked letter. You know what I'm saying?
Crooked letter, I. Humpback, I. Get it right. Don't disrespect my state now.
I'm sorry. But don't you being down there with the, you know what I'm saying? Now,
you showing out.
With that environment, what advice would you give a young black woman that wants to follow in your footsteps, or a woman in general, young lady that wants to follow in your footsteps, that wants to be a judge?
Stay focused and wait for love. Love is going to be there. I'm telling you, it's just like so many women want love. They want love and they fall in love. And okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
So my son's father, who is affectionately known as my baby daddy, because I started calling him my baby daddy when my son was 3, because I knew he was not gonna get to keep the name husband. Okay. So that's what I call him. So but when we got back together and got married, like right before I graduated from law school, he called me and he apologized to me for all the drama he put me through over the years while I was in school and all that drama he put me through. So I told him, I said, you don't have to apologize to me. And he was like, why? I said, because I thank you for my bachelor's degree. I thank you for my master's degree. I said, in a few months, I'm going to thank you for my law degree. I said, because if you would have given me what I thought I wanted from you, which was a wedding ring and a bunch of babies, I wouldn't have any of them. I said, so thank you for being a jackass.
There you go. Hey, y'all, put your hands together for jackasses.
Appreciate
that. I see your point, though. I see your point.
That kept you. Just wait.
So kept that away so you could focus on what you were moving towards.
Focus on that. Yeah, because men are like buses in New York City. If you miss one, another one will be along shortly. And if you don't want to wait, get you an Uber, get on the subway, girl. He going to be bad. It'll be another one coming.
You don't want to miss this Lamborghini. That's a joke. My wife might hear this. Okay. What's your biggest regret in reference to the legal system and all of that? Your biggest regret in reference to the law?
Personally, or just in reference to the law? I regret
either or.
I don't have any regrets personally with regard to the law. I regret that the law is not more readily understood. I think that people have a lot of misconceptions about the law.
This is true.
I will give you a very good example. Trayvon Martin. When Trayvon Martin was killed, public opinion told the prosecutors in Florida to charge Zimmerman with murder. But there was an altercation. Because there was an altercation that muddied the murder water. Yeah. And so if they would have charged him with manslaughter. Yes. But what happened was, they was listening to Al Sharpton, who don't have no law degree. Right. I mean, I got respect for the good Reverend Doctor, but he ain't got no law degree. So they listened to public opinion and they charged him with murder. They got halfway through that trial, realized they could not make a murder conviction stick. So they started trying to prove manslaughter. They confused the jury. The jury didn't know what to do, so they let him go.
Yeah, but the burden of proof is different for
Period,
manslaughter versus murder.
It's
right?
The burden of proof is not different. Like
Okay.
let's go to OJ. Let's
Okay.
talk about OJ when we talk about burden of proof.
All right.
Okay, so OJ was found not guilty in his murder trial. I was unlucky enough to be in law school when it happened, and then he was found liable in the civil trial. That's when you have different burdens of proof.
Okay.
So the burden of proof in any criminal case, whether it is a misdemeanor or a felony, no matter how aggravated the crime is, it's always proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
That means that there is nothing else that could have happened other than this person did it. So that's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Then when you go down, the standard goes down when you get into a civil case to preponderance of the evidence, which means more likely than not. So what happened was with OJ, God, I mean, he's so silly. He just, Lord have mercy. Okay, so OJ was found not guilty by a jury of his peers. So when that happens, once adjudication was made in that case, he double jeopardy attached. So that meant that no matter what he said, he could have got on national TV and said, I killed both of them. And there was no conviction that ever could have been made against him. But when he went to that civil case, he could no longer plead the fifth.
Right.
So he had to testify. When they subpoenaed him to come and testify, he had to go and testify. And he opened his mouth and inserted his foot on their witness stand, and they found him liable for those people's lives. Also, in a criminal case, the jury has to be unanimous. It has to be 12 out of 12 jurors to decide whether or not you're guilty or innocent. And then in a civil case, it only has to be 9 out of 12. So there's a different standard in civil and criminal cases, and people are like, how did they find OJ liable in a civil case when he was found not guilty in a criminal case? And that's how. Those three factors, the fact that he couldn't plead the fifth, the fact that the standard of proof is lower, the fact that you need less jurors, those three factors are the reason that he was able to be found liable even though he was found not guilty.
Oh, we got a question here. Has COVID changed the frequency of crimes committed?
No.
She said no. Say criminals gonna be criminals. It don't matter.
Absolutely not. My docket has not lightened it up.
That question was from Mona. I just saw it. I wanted to ask you that.
Tell Mona, no, ma'am. I wish that it would, but no. I mean, people are just doing. And then we have city ordinances and state ordinances with regard to wearing masks, and people are violating those laws in their businesses, and so businesses are being cited for failing to require people to wear masks in their businesses. So there are more citations being written for different things, and we have curfews that people are violating. It's just a lot of things going on, and then we're having shootings going on. It's just like people are shooting and just doing all kinds of stuff.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And then when you go out in the four corners of Forest County, then you got the Hatfields and the McCaws out there fighting. It's just, it's a lot. It's just crazy. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I can handle it. I love my job. I do.
You said,
I love my job.
You said you had no regrets in reference. What's your biggest triumph in reference to the the laws?
When I walked my client, when he stabbed his brother-in-law 6 times, I walked him out that door not guilty.
Get them all? So you helped Hannibal Lecter get off, and you were proud of that.
That was the first not guilty verdict in a murder trial in Forest County in almost 10 years.
Wow.
The prosecutor who was prosecuting the case, he had been a prosecutor for 25 years. Yeah. And in those 25 years, he had 4 not guilty verdicts, which means he had lost 4 times. Right. And I got not guilty verdict number 3 and number 4, and he retired after that.
Nice. You sent him on his way. Y'all put your hands together for an effective lawyer and judge. Okay, this is the final question. Unless you got, this isn't an interview. This is kind of a conversation. We can talk either way. But if you were queen for a day, this is my final question. If you were queen for a day, what would you or could you do to improve things across the board? Now, it could be in court, it could be in life, it could be on the whole planet. What would or could you do to make things better?
I think what I would do would use my power in the law. If I was queen for a day, and I would take all the red tape away, and the people who I could look at and see that, beyond a reasonable doubt that they were not guilty of the crimes that they were accused of committing, I would exonerate them. People who got convicted because the jury, was confused, or people who got convicted on a technicality, or they got convicted because the people lied. And, it's like a lot of those people can't get back in court because they've exhausted their appeal remedies. They can't get back in court for this reason. They can't get back in court for that reason. I would go back and look at every case that the Innocence Project has, all those Byron Banks cases, all those cases like they have. I know that Aaron Wallace is a fictitious character, but he's based on a real character. But when I watched that movie and I watched him walk out of that jail, I cried, because it's just like people who are not guilty go to jail all the time. Because people don't understand those standards of proof. They don't understand that if every element of that crime is not proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then that person is not guilty. I know you want somebody to be held accountable for what has happened, but if you have not met those elements, then, and people are getting out of jail and then dying 6 months after they get out of jail. They've been in jail for 30 years for something that they didn't do because they've exhausted their appeal remedies and nobody could get them back before a judge. So if I was queen for a day, I would get every case that the Innocence Project had, or anybody who was trying to get people exonerated from cases that they knew that they were innocent of, but they couldn't get back before a judge. I would take every one of those cases, I would review those cases, and I would release those people with our apologies and a cool million.
Nice. That's nice. Now I'll tell you one thing that really, really irritates people when you hear them in the news. Oh, so and so got out of jail, was released because of DNA after 45 years. I'm like, he was in jail for 45 years for nothing?
Right.
Really?
It's so aggravating.
Look,
it's
and
awful.
we're gonna give him $500,000.
Exactly. And then you think about all these people that are who have been in prison for 20 years for marijuana, and people are getting rich selling marijuana. It is so aggravating.
How do you feel about that? This is my view. Here's my view. If a state legalizes marijuana, all right, for recreational or medical use, and people are now got businesses, and I feel that state should release every nonviolent marijuana charge and exonerate them and let them go now.
I agree.
Oh, well, man, that was easy.
I agree completely. I do. And medical marijuana is now legal in the state of Mississippi. So if you got your little marijuana card, you can use marijuana in the state of Mississippi. So cops get mad at me sometimes because I don't set high bonds on weed. I won't do it. I won't revoke bond on weed. I'm like, no, I ain't doing it.
Look, I'm in North Carolina.
I ain't doing that. Don't ask me.
Look, I'm in North Carolina. These folks down here get mad when you use aspirin. Shoot,
right.
North Carolina.
So it's just, but it's a sad commentary that, when 4 or 5 states over, people are millionaires and billionaires with their marijuana dispensaries, and there are people who are rotting away in prison over some weed in some states, and then in other states, people are millionaires. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair, and I got a problem with that. I
agree.
Do. I have a problem
with you. I want to thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. You're always welcome.
You're welcome.
And your family, you know that.
Thank you. I do. We go way back.
Way back. Shameless plug for, and I'm going to do it. Where'd it go? Ted Greer. He said, Phil, here's a shameless plug. Please check out his podcast show, Chilling with Teddy G. I think he says he has 322 episodes. Guys, if you're interested in the podcast, go check him out. Ted Greer, Chilling with Teddy G. There you go. That's for you, Ted. That's for you. All right, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening to this, guys. This will go live as an actual podcast everywhere from Amazon to Google to Apple to you name it. It'll be live tomorrow. Those of you that are not sitting here looking at the live right now as a regular podcast. So once again, Judge Gay Polk Payton, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it so much.
And everybody else, we are out of here in 5, 4, don't go nowhere, Gay. 3, 2, 1. If you guys hear anybody sneeze, y'all better run like hell. I love you like cooked food.